welcome back. We're here to watch pole vault, so let's watch pole vault.
Alright, so this week was a very big week because I was getting back to 8 lefts for the first time at a competition. And so I had the opportunity to jump a really big bar, potentially. So let's look at the practice before, how that went. That was a good warm-up jump. I believe that was my first warm-up jump. I treated it a little bit like a meet. I was just taking a couple two steps, then I take one 3 step, a couple 4 lefts, then maybe a couple from 6 lefts, and then move back to 8. I did quite a bit of work on the slide box, trying to get my step on. I believe at this practice, but also the day before as well. This is still 6 lefts. Okay, so I had a good jump at 6 lefts, and I decided to move back to 8. I did some slide box, found where my step ought to be, and then I had one jump. So this is my full approach. And yeah, it was a good jump. My knee held up, my body held up, it felt good. I mean, it moved a little bit lethargically, I believe. But if there was a bar, I'd be able to swing up over it on that one. I was jumping on. Well, I was running from 116 foot 6, and then I take those couple walking steps to get into it. And the pole I'm on is the 15 foot 7, 193 pound. I was jumping on the 15 foot 7, 187 pound pole from 6 lefts. And so I decided to go up to the 193 to test it out for this jump. And it was all I wanted was to have one good jump where my step was on from 8 lefts. And as soon as I got that, like I have the meet on Friday. This is a Tuesday practice. I decided that it's good to just call it. Even though I was feeling really good, but like all I wanted out of the day was just to get my step on from that 8 lefts. And it doesn't really matter if I take 1, 2, or 3. Like I just want, I do the first one and the first one's good, then I can call it and move on to, because like I really wanted to get to this meet. like yeah, it's been a long time. Ever since like December, I've just been struggling to get my full approach to go in a meet. So I finally been able to at least give myself a shot and getting something real good to go. And so this is the meet. So warm up, I did usually my meet warm up. I do a full like regular warm up, like jog a couple laps around the track, and then do stretches, A skips, B skips, whatever else. And then I usually do 3 XLs in regular shoes and trainers, and I do probably 2 or 3. I believe I did two more XLs in spikes, and then I went to the warm up. I did a couple like 2-step swing ups, and I did one, and then I just did one jump from 3, one jump from 4. I believe I took 2 from 6, then went back to 8. I actually ended up taking a lot of jumps in the warm up. I did one from 8 on the 193. It wasn't a good jump. I got stood up. And then I did another on the 193. I blew through it completely. Went up to the 195 and took one more jump, and it was decent on that. And then it was an hour since the competition started, so I had one run through. So in total, I took 4 jumps from 8, 2 from 6, and a couple from 4 and 3. That is a little bit more than I'd want to do. I think that ideally this season, I think I would do everything else all the way throughout short approach, and then probably only do 1 or 2 from 6, and then 2 good ones from 8. Hopefully just first 2 from 8, and then, well, depending on if I get a run through or not. But ideally, four full vaults is a little bit much for the warm up. I'd want to keep it at 2 or 3, ideally. So I came in at 5:11 for my full approach. Yeah, this was a good jump. I want to see the takeoff. Step was right where I want it to be, just a little bit past that 12. And from like 12'6" to 13 is great. My hands were up. I had pressure on it, but it could still definitely be more aggressive. Definitely could be more forward. And the coach said everything just needs to be bigger and harder in the plant. Just more aggressive driving into the pit. But I was able to swing around well. I dumped off the top, so I felt a little bit close on the bar. I think my standards were at 65. I felt like I could maybe hit it on the way up, so I kind of dumped it off on the top. And well, when I'm coming in at 5:11, I can do that just fine. Kind of just like adjust in the air and have a good clearance. So. Yeah, this one, coach said I slowed down from my mid to the box. Yeah, I definitely did a little bit. I put on the brakes a little bit coming in. Yeah, right when I like flipped the pole up, like I just slowed down a little bit. That's the thing about like I have to really prioritize being fast, or having being fast, forward, and aggressive from like the very last part of the run is the most important part, is getting into the pit. So the run was just a little bit inconsistent, which was unfortunate. That was a much better attempt. Yeah, definitely much better. Plant was right where I wanted it to be. My hands were up even better than was on the first one. And so I was able to move the pole. This is the 195-pound pole. And I'm on it because I absolutely obliterated that 193 that I blew like way through it in warm-ups. I almost didn't even land on the pit. I landed almost off the back of the pit. And so I was on the 195, and it was working well. I did come off the top really well. Standards were, I was a little bit close on the backside. I felt like I got maybe hit back a little bit too much on the plant. I could have used a little bit stronger forward posture on that plant there, and it would have done me a lot of good. So 526 cleared, second bar, quite decent. So I went up to 541. This attempt was so close. Yeah, so step was a little bit further out, but I had a good jump into it. Yeah, this step was just out. But it was still a really good attempt. I still got my hand up, and I was still able to. So the pole angle was a bit wrong, since my step was a little bit out. No, actually, no. That'll work. If I'm at 13, like right on 13, that'll work. So the step wasn't really a problem. It's just my hands were just a little bit late. I could get that left hand to be a little bit more aggressive, driving upwards. That'll put me in. I was able to keep my posture pretty good off of it though. My chest just keep driving forward, and so this position's pretty good. Getting a strong left leg swing in that right there. And it's just so close. Like, it's a matter of centimeters on this one. I was right where I needed it to be. I was just missing a little bit of height. If I just pointed, like I'm coming off a little bit, I have to come off a little bit to get the depth on this one. If I had been better off the ground with that left, if I'd been better with my hands off the ground right there at the plant, I would have that a little bit more penetration and be able to actually stay closer to the pole and just drive straight up. And I would have that extra couple centimeters that I needed. Now, I really thought I had it on this one. Scooted my standards up to 60. And look at how much better. I am much more inverted than I was on the last one. Like I am actually shooting like straight up quite a lot more. And the standards are closer, and I'm better. My arms are even a little bit better off the ground. And so this was certainly a better jump, but then it's just, coach said that it was just a little bit too, standards were just a little bit too close. He said standards at 70, I would have made it. So I just hit it on the way up right here. I just hit it up with my shins. Bar comes off. And then I get to the top of my jump immediately afterwards. The top of my jump is right there. And it can be so frustrating because, like, you can have everything be right. You can have the best jump that you ever could do, and then still miss the bar because the standards were in the wrong spot. And, like, nobody can even predict exactly how you're going to jump before you jump it. So, like, on that bar that I made at 526, standards were at 65. If they were at, say, 75, it would have been a miss. But on this one, standards are at 60, and it was a miss. But if they were at 70, it would have been a make. So it can be very frustrating at times. You can do everything right and be so close, but then just barely just be off just a little bit. Yeah, and then this one my run was out. So look at where I take off. Yeah, way out here. And the pole angle is just completely wrong. I can't, if I'm out at 14 like that, there's just nothing I can do with a free takeoff. So yeah, so there's just no chance on that. I can't really be that far out. And, well, I was maybe a little bit rattled after those first two jumps, after them being so close. And yeah, I mean, it's like really, especially that second jump was just especially heartbreaking. But so it did affect me a little bit. I had to, and it will. I mean, this is literally, I make this bar and I have literally everything that I want out of what I've been doing, out of all the work I've been putting in for so long. But the thing is, I just have to refocus quicker. And so this run, I was out, and I think that my steps were choppy. Like third attempt, sometimes I probably feel like I have to run faster. But ironically, like when I feel like I'm running faster, like I felt really fast on this run, but then the step was in the wrong spot. Like I have to keep it consistent. I have to actually focus on being big with my strides and hitting my mark instead of just trying to run fast. It's never worked for me to actually think about running fast. It's always been better to just have the run develop naturally. It's always better for me to be concentrating on the jump in the end, hitting my mark on my run, and then really focusing on the jump and getting my hands up at the end. Whenever I try to run faster, bad things happen, it seems. But yeah, just way too far out, basically, which is really unfortunate. I felt like I almost just like threw away my last attempt, kind of by letting that run change, by letting it get choppy. I really had to. If I could go back in time, I'd refocus, calm down a little bit, and let the run develop, keep it big, and just the same jump and keep the standards at 70. The standards are at 70 now. Same jump, standards at 70. I could scrape over the bar. Man. It's a little bit, I would say it's lukewarm, because good side, I came into the meet, like this is the best form I've ever been in, honestly. Like I really think that in terms of physical condition, I'm as good shape as I've ever been in. But then to actually jump a big bar, you have to be in great shape, and you have to have a great meet, and that just comes down to like probabilities sometimes, and just like the things like jumping the bar and having the standards be in the perfect spot. And you don't even know. You never know for sure like how you're going to jump beforehand. So it's hard. It's really hard. You can only put the standards where you're probably going to be. But sometimes you just aren't in that spot. You miss the bar. And you only have 3 attempts. If you do it twice and then you don't have a good third attempt, then you don't jump the big bar. So what I am happy with is my physical condition is excellent. It's the best it's ever been, which is really good. And My body wasn't even beat up after this meet, hardly at all. So that is good. It's promising that I can maintain this form through going into outdoor season. It's when I really want to be jumping good. Slightly disappointing. Those first two jumps were really close at 541, and I actually felt like I could make it. I could make, like, after that 526, like I felt like I had a lot of clearance on that. I actually felt like I could definitely make that 541 bar, even just with this pole. And that's the other thing too, is I came in on this 15'7", 195-pound pole. Absolutely obliterated the 193 in warm-ups. I wish I had a video, because it was actually crazy how tiny it was when I was jumping on it. But this I came in on this 15'7", 195-pound pole, and it actually works really well. I feel like it's a max height, could get me over 540, or maybe even this 541. Yeah, it definitely feels. I'm more confident with these Essex poles for this season, because last season I had let's go to last season. Last season I had that 15'6", 6'5", maybe it's like a 190 or 195, somewhere in that range. But that starting pole, the one that I say is like feels really short and stiff. It felt, the pole I was using before felt really short and stiff. It's kind of hard to move. These Essex poles move a lot easier, in my opinion. So let's switch this. So that's 534. I don't know if you'll be able to see this. So this is 534 with this last year's starting pole. And I feel like that's like the max height. So I have cleared 531 on that pole. But I missed 534, and I really feel like that was the best attempt that I could have had. That would have been nice if I made that first attempt. But yeah, I hit it with my chest, and usually when you hit it with your chest, like that's the max height. Usually if you make a really close bar, like you'll scrape it with your chest. So I think that pole, max height of that pole was roughly 530. Maybe a little bit more, 532-ish. And the 524 I had just a little bit of clearance on. Compared to the 526 clearance that I just had at this meet, though. What was it? It would be 3. Yeah, well, kind of out of the frame, I guess, but you can kind of infer. You can kind of infer that I have quite a lot of clearance on 526 here, and on these 541 attempts, again, I really think that I could clear 540 with this pole, with my starting pole, which is really good, I think. I actually like that a lot more. Last year, I had, if we think about it in terms of max heights, I had that pole that could get me over, let's say, 532. So max height of 532, and then the next pole up was 550. I cleared 545 on the next pole up. So it went from a 15'6" to a 16, and it got stiffer. And And so it's kind of a really big jump between my starting pole and my next pole up last year. But now this year, my starting pole is even a little bit bigger, and I'm still like really confident jumping on it. I really think that this 195. I really think that I can get real good jumps on it because, yeah, I was much more consistent getting my hands up and moving this pole, and this pole moved really well for me today, as long as I got my run. My run was still a little bit inconsistent, unfortunately, but my point is, this season, I think I can move up poles a lot better, have a lot easier time moving up the poles because I actually have an entire line, a smooth progression for it. And I like these poles a lot more than that damn stiff short pole that was just hard, a little bit hard to jump on. Another thing that I liked about this meet is I did seem to be more consistent than the last meet, in that I had 6 jumps and 4 of them were good, which is solid. And my hands were up on, I think, every single one of them. Hands were up on every single one. My run was a little bit inconsistent on 2 of them. I do think that's a big improvement. I can get the run a little bit more consistent. I can have my hands up, really good technique, and that'll be really good for at least getting me to the point where I can attempt this one bar that I make this one bar and have everything I want ever. So that is this week's pole vault review. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next week.